My journey along this infrared photography experiment is presenting some interesting surprises for me. Some experiences, not so much of a surprise, just moments of awe, I guess, as to the way the camera captures and interprets what it's sensing and what it's bringing into the sensors. So over here on this camera over here, filming in infrared, videoing, which is just a little different. Things are going to look differently. This one, the main one over here, we're going to do it in color. Color is what we're used to. Even if we have a condition of color blindness or something, we're still seeing within the visible spectrum. We're not seeing in the infrared. The human eyes, the human neurology, just don't take us down that path to where we're going to sense the world in the infrared spectrum. There's a lot of experts out there that can describe it. I'll put a link down below to a couple of them where they give nice explanations as to what the infrared spectrum is versus the visible spectrum. The James Webb telescope for sure has brought it up into the forefront of the idea of even capturing images in that. But this isn't the James Webb telescope, not nearly that level of sophistication. Some of the surprises or the discoveries that I've made for myself is what it does with anything that has chlorophyll in it. Tends to show up as very bright white. Most of the images I'm capturing, I'm doing it in monochrome. The conversion that I had done on my camera, I usually use a Canon RP, well, not that I usually do, it's the one I have that I converted to the infrared sensor. It was converted to the 720 nanometer part of the spectrum. So it filters everything out below that, and then it allows in the infrared light that's above that. So it lets in a little bit of color, but it does really well in monochrome. So the images that I've been really experimenting with and having a good time with happen to be in monochrome. Lots of contrast. The blue sky, if there were a blue sky up around me, it would start showing up almost as black. Darkens the blue sky. Anything with chlorophyll, like I said, will start to pop as white. And then textures on clothing, on cloth, etc., will show up differently. Skin tones on humans, odd pallor, almost ghost-like. Get too close and the eyes start to go zombie-like. And I just learned this the other day that apparently the movie Dune 2, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but I understand that at least parts of that movie were filmed in infrared. I find as I'm starting to be pulled into a creative direction that I never anticipated going. I've done a lot of nature photography, birds, animals, insects. That's a challenge in infrared. They're hard to find sometimes. They don't show up so well sometimes in the viewfinder. And then once I do capture an image of them, they tend to blend in with their background. I find that very curious. I'm going to be exploring that more. I want to know what's going on with that. Things like buildings. Some of the buildings that are down here in the background here, I've taken images of them before in some nice bright sunlight, and they're reflective. They have reflective coatings on their windows. So in infrared, they tend to go black, just like the sky would. And they may show the reflections of the clouds off the building or some other reflections off the building, but the buildings look different than what I've used to. I've been coming down here for decades, probably ever since it was built. All of a sudden, in infrared, the skyline looks different when I look at the images of something that I'm so familiar with. Capturing movement, the focus on the camera works differently. So autofocus every once in a while will track, but I also find that I need to really pay attention to that because it will focus, but it's not focusing the same way that the camera was originally designed to, I think, in the visible spectrums. Reflections off of water are quite different. Being in this part of the world, I'm down next to the water, or can be, within a half hour, taking images of trees and how they silhouette up against the skies and the skyline has been a fun exploration for me. One of the things I am exploring, and I'm struggling with it, and this is interesting that I'm learning about myself, is the struggle in this area is doing long exposures in infrared, but I'm going to be exploring that because I've really come to enjoy doing long exposures. And for me, a long exposure is more than 30 seconds. Going into bulb mode on the camera might be for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, I think is the longest exposure that I've done. So you may be noticing, or I'll draw your attention to it now, is that the sun is breaking through the clouds. It may be changing some of the contrast over here on the infrared side. I don't remember if I have this on auto exposure or if I have manual exposure. I think I put on auto exposure just in case, so it would adapt to that. So that's about it. The experiment's going to continue. I'm having a blast. It's like being a kid again. I couldn't wait to get the camera back from Kalari Vision. That's the company that did the conversion. As soon as it showed up, I grabbed it and went out and started taking pictures. I've been using it now for about 2 weeks. It's with me always, as well as maybe my R6. So right now, what this video over here on the RP is it's the RP body with the Canon 35mm 1.8, I believe. I'll have to check that. Nice little simple lens. It was one of the earliest lenses I got when I got the RP. Great for just carrying around, doing street photography or whatnot. And it also has a little bit of a macro function to it. So it's great for what I'm using it for now on the infrared. So there we have it. Catch you later. Just enjoy some of the images that I've taken in the last 2 weeks.